Hoggie's beer reviews. Hoggie's beer reviews. What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in once again to another one of Hoggie's beer reviews, and this is the final video, the final review in my series of the British ales. Stuff I came across, stuff you guys may be familiar with. It started with Boddington's. Boddington's Pub Ale. Many of you are familiar with this because it is an InBev product and available at many supermarkets, and honestly, yeah, not great. I was going to review Boddington's anyway because it's been requested and it's such kind of a commonplace commercial beer, but I ran into the whole British reviews because I came across this at my local liquor store where I buy a lot of craft beer. This is the Hen House Variety Pack. Now, I have been drinking Old Speckled Hen for many, many years. It is one of my favorite British beers, and I had never seen this before, so I had to grab it when I saw it. And this is 4 different beers from the Moreland Brewery in England. So the previous 3 reviews were the Old Golden Hen, the Old Crafty Hen, and Hen's Tooth. The 4th review from the 4-pack and the 5th review overall, oh, wrong one, would have been and is going to be this guy. I was going to save this bottle and use it for the review, but unfortunately I ran out of beer one night and I had nothing else and I couldn't help myself. So I had this bottle a while back, but it was late at night, I wasn't exactly sober, it wasn't any kind of review, so I've picked up another bottle and we're using this one for the review. Reason being, I've never, up until this guy, I had never had Old Speckled Hen out of the bottle. I've always had it out of the nitro can. For those of you guys who don't know, we call it a nitro can because it actually has nitrogen gas in it. Instead of, your standard CO2, which gives the carbonation to your regular beer, this uses nitrogen, which creates a creamier beer and a creamier, thicker head. Guinness Draft also uses it, Young's Double Chocolate Stout uses it, and a handful of others. So I've always had it out the can, I've always loved it out of the can, and on tap also, most places who carry it on tap also use a nitro system. So I've never had it plain Jane out of the bottle. So the reason I waited to do this final review is because I wanted to compare the bottle to the can. Now, before we get into the review, over here on the computer screen I have open Beer Advocate and Rate Beer. Old Speckled Hen from the Green King Moreland Brewery in England, out of 1,331 ratings, scores a 78. They categorize it as an English Pale Ale at 5.2% alcohol by volume. Jumping over to Rate Beer, smaller print, I have to get a little closer here. Rate Beer, out of 1,557 ratings, it scores a 49 overall. They categorize it as a Premium Bitter or ESB, and again, 5.2% alcohol by volume. And like I said, it's not an exceptional beer. It's not full of flavor in the style of an American craft beer, any kind of IPA or amber ale, where it's full of those either hoppy or roasty, malty flavors. No, this is smooth and drinkable, and that's why I like it. It goes great with fish and chips. And yeah, so let's get to it. No more talking. Let's compare some Old Speckled Hen and some Old Speckled Hen. Starting with the bottle. Actually, you know what? Starting with the can, because you do have to let the nitro sit for a minute. Ooh, that was messy. You do have to let it settle. It has to sit and settle. You can't just pour it and get right into it. And actually, I'll show you guys who may have never seen the whole nitro effect before. I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Like I said, I've been drinking this stuff out of the can for years. I love nitro beers. I think it's really cool. You should be zoomed in there. Take a good look at that. It's kind of that upside down waterfall kind of cascade effect. Really cool, but it does take a second before the nitrogen settles. So while we're waiting for our proper pint of Old Speckled Hen to settle, let's crack open the bottle. It's almost mesmerizing looking at it. It's really cool. But anyways, pop open the cap on the bottle here. And actually, you know what? I've drank this beer so often over the years at the bars, at the restaurants, at the house. I really am curious to do a side-by-side of the bottle versus the can. I've always liked the can so much that I always hesitated when considering buying the bottle. Had it not been for this pour pack, I probably wouldn't have ever bought the bottle. So, as you can see, two products give you two different effects. This pours like a standard bitter, like a basic beer, not a huge amount of head, crystal clear, you know, nothing spectacular, nothing different. This guy gives you that frothy, foamy head, a little bit more chill haze in there, and obviously the head on this is very dense, very few bubbles at all, and the ones there are very small. This is more of a standard pop fizzy carbonation head, and off we go. So let's put them right here, and I guess I should just dive in. So we'll start with the one I'm most familiar with. Cheers, guys. Here goes the Nitro Old Speckled 10. It's a creamy, just such a creamy smoothness from the first sip, because the first thing your mouth encounters is the dense foamy head, which is rich and creamy, and then you hit the body of the beer and it's just so silky smooth. You get mild malty kind of notes, not a lot of hops to speak of, but it's just such a smooth texture and experience. Makes it so easy drinking. You jump over here, completely different effect up front, because you get that bite, that little fizzy kind of bite, that little sharp character of the carbonation, kind of like on the back sides of the tongue. You feel that fizz on your tongue, active carbonation as opposed to just this creamy head. The flavor and the body of the beer across the middle is close to the same. Obviously this is smoother and has that silkier texture. This has more of a standard beer texture, standard beer body. It goes down like fizzy water. Obviously there's flavor to it, but as far as how it feels like any other carbonated liquid. It really does. But across the middle, you do get kind of like that biscuity, slightly toasted malt character. Very little hops. You do get a little bitterness in the finish, and it's a mild grassy bitterness. You know, not any kind of like IPA bitterness, but there is a bitter character towards the end of the beer, which I didn't so much note in this one. Indeed, the bitterness on the finish, the hops, that slight grassy hop bitterness that you get on the back end, on the swallow of the bottled version, is almost non-existent in the nitro version. Now, from what I've heard and read over the years, a lot of the detractors of nitro beers, of using nitrogen in beers, is that the nitrogen and the head it creates really muffles and dampens other smells and flavors. The main reason for using it is the smooth, creamy body. Silky smooth, very creamy, and that is true. But the flip side is also true as well. The flavors are nowhere near as sharp and as forward as they are in the standard version of the beer. You know what? I'm really glad I decided to do this. Because I'd never done a side-by-side on these, and you can really tell the difference. If anybody out there likes these beers or these types of beers, perhaps has had one or the other or both on different occasions, I really do suggest that if you're curious and you want to see the differences straight up, you know, in your face, do what I'm doing and get you one of each and try them side by side. It's amazing how you can, because it's the same beer. The base brew here, and I hope I'm not running too long here. Yeah, we're good. The base brew is the same. Like I said, kind of a toffee bready thing, a slightly breaded kind of malt character, and a very simple yet appropriate grassy hop bitterness towards the finish. It's very easy drinking. It's a light to medium body. It's a good beer, and like I said, it goes great with fish and chips. But the difference is in texture and in the drinking experience is profound from one to the other. More flavor. The bottle version has more flavor. It's more in your face as far as the flavors, textures, and the drinking experience is more vivid in the bottle version. But it is a little sharper. It is a little grainier. It is a little, how do I put this? You notice that you're drinking it more, as opposed to this one. This goes down like water because it is so creamy, silky, smooth. You know, it's not going down like water. It's going down like silky cream. And there you go. This is silky cream with you know, biscuity toasted malt flavor. And this is a beer that has a biscuity toasted malt and slightly bitter finish as far as characteristics. So, I mean, it's, like I said, I could sit here and try to explain it all day. What I really want you guys to do, if you're interested, if you're curious, is to go do this for yourself and experience it for yourself and see what I'm talking about. And that's it, man. You know, I like this beer, so there's no reason for me to give it a rating. To me, it's a glass full for what it is. This is one of my favorite English ales. And I'm really glad I got to experience it in both versions and really see the differences side by side. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, learned something from it perhaps. Perhaps I can motivate some of you guys to try this yourselves. And that's it. I like this beer, and I think that depending on your taste and depending on the moment, you can easily go with either one. Glass full in my book, but hey, what do I know? Alright, I'm out of here before it runs any longer. Remember, it's always Hoggie's Beer on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and hoggiesbeer.com. Also, Hoggie's Beer on Untapped if you're using the app. And that's it. The final beer, the final video in the British Beers series. Stay tuned, hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.